Okay, so back on the Dodge Dart, having had a month off decorating my daughter's room, although I now have a luxurious carpeted garage to line underneath, so a small bonus. So we're back onto the steering column. Now the steering column's going in, however I have a problem that the bolts here aren't lining up. That when this bracket is on, I'll try to show, when this bracket is on here, when it lines up on the bolt holes, you can see it's not lining up on these slip bolts here at the side. So the whole idea is, if you're in a crash, the steering column concertinas slides up like that and will absorb some of the impact. Now I think what's happened is, I think somehow this, you can see, is like concertinaed, so this can collapse in and squash down and absorb some of the impact. But it looks to me like it's squashed slightly already. If you can see, it looks like it's slightly got a bit shorter, and therefore causing me a problem that I can't line these bolts up on these studs up here. So it looks like I need to get the column maybe half an inch longer, and I'm wondering if I can. My theory is, if I can try and squeeze these in here, you can see the fix there. If I can try and squeeze these in, I can then make the column that little bit longer. So what I'm going to try and do is put Jubilee clips around here and see if that works. Right, so I've put these Jubilee clips on here with the idea that these will just squash in slightly and compress this to extend the tube, which I've done the top half, but I just need to do the bottom half again now. So let me just try this. So just slacken it off and do the same at the bottom. Just there a bit more. Right, try the bracket on now. Let's see how far off we are with these holes. Now we've got to the point now where these holes actually line up, so that's good. So that's actually worked. Excellent. Right, so I just need to maybe do a little bit more, probably do just a couple of millimeters more, and then I think we'll be okay. So that worked. I squashed the column and that actually extended it by probably about 10 millimeters. So now you can see that I've actually got these spacers here just about to line up with the slides. The column will come up a little bit more, so that bolt will just go into the slide, and the same on the one on this side here. So just space that out a little bit like that, you'll see that'll go in there. So I've got 4 bolts to put in the side of the column here, and also one down at the bottom. So let's get that together and see what that looks like. So you can see now I've got the bolts in on the steering column. These are in place here. I've also got the studs in place there for the sliders, and that one there, they just need squaring up a little bit more, and they just need to put the 3rd stud in at the bottom. Now, one of the cool things I found in this car, take a look at this. I have no idea why, but there's a newspaper under here. If you take a look at this, just clear it out of the way, you'll see There's a date on it there. It'll focus, of 1970. So this car is 1970, and for some reason someone put a newspaper under it. Here, Friday, November the 27th, 1970. Now maybe someone did this as a little bit of interest when the car was brand new. I have no idea. But I'm going to leave it there because I think it's pretty interesting. See, it says there, Friday, November the 27th. Let's leave that there for a little bit of posterity. It may even say where it was from. Well, there we go. It says on it, if it'll focus, Detroit. So that's pretty interesting, that, isn't it? There we go. Let's just turn that over there. Detroit Free Press. Maybe someone, for a little bit of interest, put that in at the factory. Could be, no idea. Anyway, let's leave that there for anyone else to find in the future. That's interesting. Right, so steering column back in now, nice and tight, so I'm happy with that. That's all bolted back in. Those pins have lined up better now, and you can see there is a little bit of room there where the pins have gone in, so the bolts have gone in there, just that bottom one there, which I think you can just see. I just need to get plastic sliders for it so it'll actually slide up and get that in place. Obviously there's quite a little bit to do on the wiring and tidy all this wiring up here. This is just a complete mess. Well, I'll leave it like that for now until I get it all running, and then we can find out what we need to tidy up and improve on it. Right, so there's another job done. So let's have a look on the list where we are. Well, refit steering column, so we can cross that one off there. Excellent. Right, so I just need to think what I need to do next. Having done some work under the dash and inside, I've decided I need a little bit of fun, start of the new year. Let's even get the engine running. Now, one of the reasons all this began, and I stopped working it 2 years ago, I was slightly disheartened that I ran the engine. Looks like a new block, to be honest. Probably like a crate engine, new carb. It all looks new. When I say new, probably hasn't run for 6 years. I think someone built it in the States and then never ran the car. So what I was slightly disheartened by was I ran it, got to about 2000 RPM, the vibration on the engine. I think it's like a damper issue. Now, doing a bit of research, some of these engines are internally balanced, some of them are externally balanced, and this engine is an externally balanced engine, which means the flex plate at the back should have a weight on it, but it didn't. So I've took that out, I fitted a B&M plate with a weight on it. So hopefully when I run it up, that should get rid of the vibration. So I've decided, before I go any further with it, I'll get back on and decide if I've got rid of this engine vibration by fitting this B&M flex plate. I must have taken the distributor out. Now I'm thinking I probably took the distributor out because as I took the engine out, I think as I lowered it down, the dizzy was hitting on the bulkhead here. So I think that's the reason why I took that out, and luckily I was clever and I put a cloth inside it here. So, although for some reason the engine seems to have ate it, maybe I've turned it over and caused some problem there, and that's going to be interesting, isn't it? I don't want to just pull that out. I might have to turn the engine back a bit and try and get that to release it. So that might be a job to do now. That's interesting. And then it looks like there may have been a bit of a leak on this pipe here. So while we're at it, we'll just see if we can nip those fittings up a little bit more. So let me have a look at that and then come back to you. So I've barred the engine over, probably 180 degrees, managed to get the rag out. You can see it nicely chewed into the cloth. but I don't think there's any lasting damage in there. Just have a look with the torch. I think we're going to be fine in there. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we're fine in there. Just a bit of a schoolboy error there, so I think what I'll do, I'll just nip that fitting up there while we're at it, check that, work out what the timing for the dizzy is, get that back in, which I think I left the dizzy on the roof. There it is. So let's have a look at that. So what I've got to do to get the timing right, obviously there's a potential here of getting the orientation 180 degrees out, because you've got the point that picks up on the dizzy cap here, and you've got the tongue on the end there. So what I need to do is understand at which point this should go in. I'm wondering, could have been clever, I could have marked it. That looks like a little bit of a paint mark on the side there, and I wonder if I did one on the clip there. Now what I'm thinking is, let me just show you again, I'm thinking that when the clamp's together on the dizzy, this must have gone round and lined up. Oh no, that don't work, does it? Well, let's have another think about that. Now I've been looking at some old pictures of this distributor installed, and it seemed to be with the VAC Advance on about that sort of angle, which also, when I look at it, if you look at the paint mark there, the white paint mark, there is a white paint mark on the side of the block there. You can just see it, maybe not. Anyway, it's just there, little white paint mark. If you can get the camera in there, you see it there. So that is going to be about right where it lines up. Also seems to be on 0 degrees, which is what we're looking for. Now the only question will be is if I can get it 180 degrees out, which is highly likely. I can take the plug out, number one. This is number one cylinder here. So we've got the timing chart. Timing mark lines up to there, so that's going to be about right. Get that on 0 degrees down there. You can see the timing marks down there. I'll get that on 0, and then that should be right. And I think I'll take the plug out so I can check that I'm at top dead centre. Might even take the rocker cover off. Take the rocker cover off, and you've got the valves both closed, you know you're at top dead centre. If one of them's open and the other one's closed, then you know you're 180 degrees out. So I might do that, so I'm confident. So I'm going to try that next. Okay, so setting the timing again. Got it there set on, oh actually I haven't got it set right at all. It's set on about 6 degrees before top dead centre. That just needs to come round a little bit more. Right, let me just try and get that round a bit more. Okay, try again. So that now is set on 0 top dead centre. You can see that there, so that's on top dead centre. Now, as I said before, I've got the marks on the back of the dizzy here, a little white mark, which will line it up. I'm going to line the dizzy up in that dog there. You can see that little slot that's got to go and line up in the bottom of the dizzy there. I'll line up with that. Now, what I've done, I've tried to take the rocker cover off. However, undid all the bolts for the rocker cover. Found that the gasket was really well sealed on. I didn't want to break the gasket because I probably ripped the gasket. I haven't got any more gaskets. So what I decided, I use this, there's a compression test rig. In fact, I borrowed this off Chris. Obviously he thinks I might steal it, so we put his name on it. So, borrowed this off Chris. So it's a good idea for checking your engine. You get your engine to top dead centre. Set this to about 20 psi. Connect the hose. There's a hose here that goes to your cylinder. And then this gives you a reading of the leakage of pressure from your cylinder. Now what I did is, very crudely, I thought, well, I'll just put this hose in here. This is what connects it up to the other end. I'll put this hose in here and I'll blow. So if I've not got top dead center, I've got one of the valves. One of the valves would be open. So with one of the valves open, you blow, you just hear the air coming out. I've got it set now, blown. Can't hear a lot of air coming out, so I assume the valves are shut. There's always a little bit of leakage, but the valves sound like they're shut compared to before, where there was there's more resistance now. So I'm going to take that as top dead center, drop the dizzy in, and see if I can get that timed up to this being number 1 cylinder. Okay, so it looks like the distributor has gone in as planned. I think you can just see the white marks down there lining up. This is the white mark for position number 1. It looks just a little bit past it there. You would have thought that was more like it, but I'm going to leave it as it was because I know it was running at that point, and see what happens. And that was sort of the position that it was on the picture. That's at top dead center in there. You can see that's at top dead center. It's at top dead center down there. So we're going to take that position on the distributor cap here as position number 1, which is marked here with the tape on. Sorry, with mark there and the tape on there as number 1, and then the firing order going round in a anti-clockwise a clockwise direction is 1843657 So I'm going to put those plug leads on and see how I can get on with that. Okay, that's the dizzy back in and in place with all the leads going to the correct firing order. I just need to tidy the leads up. I'm not quite happy how the leads are running. They're all a little bit all over the place. That needs sorting out. I'm also going to take the distributor cap off again now, just to give myself a little bit more room to get to the next job, which basically, let's just get that over there. So that's that out of the way. So they're all wired up correctly, but it's just moving out of the way to give myself a little bit more room. Right, the next thing I want to look at is this accelerator cable. Now, this accelerator cable doesn't seem to run very neat. In fact, if you can see, let me get a torch in. You can see it comes out the bulkhead here, curls nastily round on itself underneath the rocker cover. I don't know if you can see that, just down here, just curls, comes out there, nastily bends down, bends round on itself there and round into this bracket. Now when you look at this bracket here, this bracket to me looks bent. I think that should be 90 degrees up here like this, but it would actually then rub on this. So I think I'm going to remake this bracket. Someone's made this bracket here. It's just a single, you can see better from that side, it's a single aluminium piece here. It needs to be longer and come up above this, I'm calling it the loca cable because it says loca there, but it's actually a kick down cable to the transmission, and that still needs to be set. In fact, it needs, it's not even connected down at the gearbox end. So I'm going to straighten that up. I think I'll do that another night, to be honest, and see what I can do with that. Remake this, try and run this neater. Obviously it does have a problem that, obviously this really, the accelerator cable coming out here, has never been designed like this. This is because it's been converted from a slant 6, where the engine was a slant 6 over that side, and it's quite clear with the carburetors on this side. So probably just need to think of a better way. Maybe it can come round over here, I don't know, see what I can do, get that a little bit better, straighten that up, make it look better. But I think for now that will do. And as in most jobs, we've managed to cross off a couple of things on the list, but really make a load of other things. So as I've found over the years of things I haven't refitted, so I think what I'll do tomorrow, I'll have a go at looking at the accelerator cable. So thanks for watching, and talk to you soon. Thank you.